Hello everyone, thank you for having me here at the Asterisk event. I'm really glad to be here without you and all the open source proud community. I'm going to share my presentation now. Here it is. I'm Diego Gosmar, head of the international operation at Ingo Group, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about conversational AI, integration with Asterisk, and customer care applications about that. For people who don't know about me, I'm Diego. I'm in charge of the international channel partners at Ingo. We developed an omni-channel solution based on Asterisk as well, named X-Golly. It's quite well known and distributed in multiple regions around the world. I also happen to be a writer. I wrote a couple of books. One was on Asterisk, and the latest one is about artificial intelligence. It's called Machine Learning, the Sixth Chakra of Artificial Intelligence. For many people interested in knowing more about my book, just point on the QR code you see here in the middle of the screen, and you will be able to have all the information you want. Before entering in the conversational AI topic, I'd like to make a quick introduction about the main trends about customer care, starting from 2 years ago, more or less, 2020. At that time, most part of the customer care conversations were still based on voice. So voice channel was still the king. Now it's no more like that, where voice channel is still very much used, but due to many reasons, also, let me say, the COVID situation and what we have experienced in the last 2 years, now we see that besides voice, also many other channels in the contact center space are pretty much used, starting from, well, standard email to social media, web chat, and recently also we are able to provide and to see a lot of contact center to use video channel communications to provide video customer care. Well, thanks to the Omni-Channel new deployments, it's also possible now to analyze the customer journey of a user, of a customer, so we can actually know more about customers. The contact center can now try to link together all the touch points used by a customer, so to understand, for example, this customer got in touch with us a couple of times by sending a message, using the chat, then he tried to call back us by phone, and so on and so on. So we can actually build all this history of the different interactions the customer experienced with us, and we can get a customer journey map. As a result, we are able to get more information about the customer, link them together, and provide a better customer service usually. So on the other side, another trend, apart omni-channel in the contact center space, is now also machine learning and AI. Usually machine learning is not just about complex algorithm, but it's more about getting the most value data in order to make some nice predictions. So, for example, deploying applications like sentiment analysis or speech recognition, and so on and so forth. Let me just list a few applications before getting in the main one I want to talk about today, so the conversational AI. First application I want to mention is about, again, the omni-channel customer journey one. So if we can use properly machine learning, wouldn't it be nice to be able to get in touch with our customer by using the best channel well suited for this customer at the proper time? So, for example, we could understand that specific customer would prefer to be contacted, to get in touch with us, I don't know, for example, at 9 a.m. in the weekly hours, maybe better by email, during the, I don't know, the later morning by voice, and then in the evening again by messaging. So if we can have proper historical data across all the channels about this customer, we can also use machine learning to build a model, so to be able to get in touch with the customer by using the preferable channel at the proper time with the customer. The second application, and this is what I'm going to talk more about today, is, well, conversational AI. So the possibility to interact with a customer by using automatic artificial intelligence engine, and to provide customer answers or to deal with customers automatically. Conversational AI market is growing. There is no doubt about that. You can see here one of the many eminent research. So we're talking about more than 20% compound annual growth rate from 2020 to 2025. Where we're working here, well, for people who are familiar with artificial intelligence, there are two main families of artificial intelligence. One is called narrow AI, and the other one is called generalized AI. Generalized AI is actually the most complex one, because we are here trying to simulate cognitive human behavior by using artificial intelligence, and that's really a challenge. Narrow AI, on the other side, is more affordable today. In that case, we are going to restrict the focus on some specific context, and we're going to focus our machine learning algorithms and models in that kind of domain. And yeah, well, conversational AI, for example, contact center or customer care, can be a specific domain. So we can use narrow AI in that situation, where we establish that our specific context domain is actually the customer care domain. And so this is where we are going to use conversational AI, at least in my example. There are other domains, of course. Why I'm going to use conversational AI in a contact center usually? Where you can see here an example, okay, of typical example of IVR. So Joe, this customer, is going to contact, I don't know, it's the favorite restaurant. He is normally presented with a complex menu. He needs to insert some PIN code, make multiple choices, and often, you know, he gets upset about this experience. So the more complex the IVR is, normally the more upset Joe will be. Well, conversational AI can really help us in those situations, because when we build a nice voice bot or chatbot, we are able to have a conversation not driven by a system, a complex IVR menu, but actually driven by the customer. We can get reduced customer frustration as a result. We can use intent flexibility in many conversational AI systems. It's not that complex to design the algorithm to reply to a customer. Okay, so by using intent, actually, we can just teach, let me say, to the machine. We can make the training to the machine with a few sentences, and the machine will be able to recognize sentences played by the customer. Also, if those kind of requests are formulated in a slightly different ways. Okay, so we don't have, in this case, to make the training with all the complex kind of sentences that will be played by the customer. And normally a conversational AI tool can learn by experience or can always improve by himself. It is using recurrent neural network or long short-term memory machine learning algorithms, so it can benefit from this memory capability to improve itself, and also it can be integrated via standard API. So for example, to access external information, I don't know, I can check the status of an order, I can see my reservation or a booking status, and so on and so forth. How to use that? Well, normally we can use conversational AI so that the customer can interact with the robot. Yeah, in this situation, our suggestion is that when the level of confidence threshold is under a certain threshold, we can forward the conversation to a human agent. They will be able to deal with the customer for specific complex situations. We can use conversational AI in omni-channel systems. So we can provide customers with conversational AI on all the channels. So voice, chat, messaging, social media, and why not, in the future, even video communications. A practical example we built on top of Asterisk, it's this one. So this customer is going to call. The call is managed by an Asterisk simple IVR. And during the IVR, we connect to the API of some external human-to-machine specialized conversational AI system, like in this case, Google Dialogflow, Amazon Lex, and multiple other conversational AI systems you can find on the market. So we use those API, we get the reply for the customer, we convert the text reply into voice by using a text-to-speech engine, and then we send the reply to the customer. Just like in the example before, whenever the level of confidence is below a certain threshold, we are going to route this call to an Asterisk queue and so put in touch the customer with a human agent. Let me play now a video concept we put in place a few times ago, actually. It's about a potential customer. He wants to have some information to, in this case, booking a wine experience, okay, with his wife. It's very simple. I hope you can enjoy that. Let me try to play this and we can get back after the video.
Welcome to the Italian Food and Wine Assistant. How can I help you?
Hello, I'd like to have some information about the wines available in this Italian region, please.
Barolo and Barbaresco are two of the best wines you can find here in Piedmont.
Where could I taste such wines?
We would recommend Cantina l'Amore, for example.
Which company can I get through here, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch you. Let me transfer to our operator, please. Hello, Mr. John. I see you have requested some information about wine tasting. How can I help you more?
And yeah, that was an example, it was a concept. And what was interesting is that we were able to forward the voice call from the conversational AI robot and forward those kind of information to the human agents, and the human agent was able to understand the past conversation that the customer had with the robot and take over the conversation and go on. So that was an example of hybrid conversation, so mixed conversational AI robot and human agent on the contact center. How it works, it's depicted here. So we basically designed a call flow inside Asterisk. We called external, in that case, Dialogflow API, get a reply, and get back to the customer, and reroute the call and a fallback route to an Asterisk queue. It's not that easy as it seems to be, of course. There are challenges when you build a conversational AI model. First one is that in real life, we want to talk with people by using multimodal understanding and emotional understanding. So multimodal is related to the fact that we don't use just words in our conversation. Actually, I'm Italian, so I'm using a lot the gesture. Somebody use less the gesture. We can have different tone of voice, facial expressions. Other communication nuances and flavors are always useful to experience a better communications. And so it's not that easy to replicate that in a conversational AI model. But we can do that in some way. We can try to simulate that kind of a situation, especially if we use video communication and video communication for conversational AI as well. The same is valid for emotional understanding. So build an emotional kind of conversation between people. Other challenges are related to the fact that normally in a machine learning environment, we need to have proper training of the robots, and that it's going to be a challenge if we don't have historical data. So again, the data, the historical conversation in this case between the customer and the contact center are very important. And the other challenge in machine learning is that the more complex is the model and the algorithm we use, the more difficult is to explain why the machine and the robot replied us in such a way. And there are actually startups, companies working on the black box dilemma. They try to provide reports and better understanding of the algorithms behind machine learning. There are also opportunities, in particular if we are going to combine together machine learning and omni-channel. Of course, the level of complexity is a little bit higher because when we deal with omni-channel, we could also be requested to build different machine learning models, one for each kind of channel. But on the other side, we can combine together those kind of machine learning algorithms in the different channel to deploy what I called here channel ensemble, okay? So I can actually try to use the conversation that a customer had on different channels to improve the accuracy with the conversation that I have with the customer. Well, Asterisk is an open source software. There are multiple other also software that you can use integrated with Asterisk as well to build machine learning solutions on top of that. I'm used to use a lot Jupyter Notebook on top of Anaconda. You can use Keras and TensorFlow if you use complex recurrent neural networks, Google Colab. You can use even some language model. The new GPT-J is pretty much promising as open source language model as well. Few technical words about what kind of machine learning models we better use when we deal with conversational AI. So normally, since since a few years, we prefer to use recurring neural network or long short-term memory to deal with voice recognition and conversational AI understanding, because those kind of neural network, those are able to keep memory of the past sequence of the words in a sentence. So it's better to recognize the actual word by having the history of what happened before. Recently, very recently, a couple of years ago actually, big companies, like you see here, they started also to deploy new techniques called transformers. Transformers use a concept called attention is all you need. I would need multiple hours to explain how it works, but actually the transformer models use this attention mechanism to selectively focus on segment of input inside the text to predict the most relevant one. So as a result, the transformers can work in better parallel ways. There are very complex and promising language model. The generative pre-training one by OpenAI is probably the most famous one now, GPT-3.1. It's huge, and it uses the concept of transformers as well. Transformers, by the way, are not just used for NLP, for language understanding, but even recently visual transformers are used in the image processing, and video transformers, timesformers for video understanding has been used by Facebook research for video understanding. So those kind of algorithms seems to be very, very much promising. I got a case study here, just a very simple case study where we use conversational AI actually with one of our partners in Spain. They deal with many customers. One of those customers was actually a startup working in the telesurveillance. They needed to do marketing calls, but they didn't have so many contact center agents to that. So they deployed our Asterisk X-Collie IVR solution integrated with Dialogflow to build a conversational AI IVR. So basically what they do is they use this conversational AI to deal with the first contact with the customer. Okay, so the dialer, our dialer, is going to get in touch with the customer. The customer is put in touch not with human agent but with a conversational AI robot. The robot tries to understand if the customer is really quite interested or not in the telesurveillance system, and in case he is or she is, then she or he will be put in touch with a human agent. So as a result, they experienced a lot of improvement in the customer care agent performance, because of course they were presented with a potential interested lead. And also the conversion rate has been improved because the conversational AI interactions with customer is able to have a better impact on these, let me say, marketing calls. So that's more or less all from my side. It's time to wrap up. I just tried to give you an overview about some conversational AI applications, some benefits about that, and also some challenges that you can face when you're going to design a proper conversational AI model. What it's really important to understand is that we can work on conversational AI and we can get quite good performance, especially if we restrict the domain on some specific industries. And we try to improve the performance by deploying multimodal and emotional conversation as well. That's all from my side. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today with me. And of course, I'm open to any questions you have. Feel free to send me any questions, to ask as many questions as you want now or later. I will be here to answer you, or just to get in touch with me later. I will be glad as well to get in touch with you. Thank you very much.